Hello everyone, I'm Joe Ackourey, and welcome to the Fly of the Week. For this episode, episode 67, I'll be tying a conehead black bunny leech pattern. You see, when water levels are on the rise, cloudy, or even muddy, this is my go-to pattern. I typically tie from sizes 10s all the way up to a size 6, and my go-to colors are black, dark olive, and dark brown. So, without further ado, let's get started. Okay, guys, here we go. The conehead black bunny leech. So, this pattern that I am about to tie, I like to fish it in sizes 6s to 10s for trout and bass. It works well for bass as well, but I typically fish it in high water conditions, muddy conditions. I mean, it'll work in most conditions, but I don't know, it's just something about this pattern that works really well for me in the higher, muddier waters. So let's get started here. So I'm using a long shank hook, a size 6, 79580 Mustad, and I'm going to place the cone head on the hook. There's a small hole where the point of the hook will go in, and there's a big hole. You'll always want to place the hook in the small hole, push it up, and slide it over and push it to the eye of the hook. Now, next step is placing the hook in the vise. Make sure that the shank of the hook is relatively parallel with the tabletop. And yeah, let's get started. Cover the entire shank of the hook with thread. It's a long shank, so it's going to take a little time. And stop right where the shank and the bend meet. Now, the first step to this fly is placing the copper wire on. The copper wire is going to be used to anchor this rabbit strip that I'm going to use a little bit later. Yeah, make sure you get a good foundation. And the reason why I'm putting a heavy foundation of thread on is because I believe that any materials that I'm going to place on that foundation of thread is going to adhere or bite in much better than a bare hook. So, you know, it adds longevity to the fly. Okay, so the next step is I'm going to weight this fly with a piece of medium diameter lead. I like to fish these deep. So I'm going to repeat that process of tying it on the side of the shank of the hook, just like I did for that copper wire. And okay, now that that's done, I'm going to wrap that all the way up the shank very carefully, initially anyhow, and then I'm just going to go warp speed up to the front here. I might be a little short, might have to add, I'm going to definitely be short. A little more. I'm going to need a little tiny bit more. I like to go right up to the bead, or I'm sorry, the cone head. Tie that off and helicopter it off. Okay, now we got to secure this lead. Make sure you get it in good here and secure every bit. Yeah, I get some vicious strikes on this pattern, and I kind of look forward to high water events. So, next step is placing a piece of crystal flash on. I like to use pearl crystal flash, and I'm going to tie that alongside the shank of the hook. And just let that lay, and I place that in my material clip. Just don't want to get it confused with my copper wire. Okay. Now, our next step is the rabbit strip, and I'm going to tie a black one here, so I got to estimate the length of this. So I typically I measure twice the hook, the entire hook, eye and right to the end of the bend. So there's one length, and then I take it and go 2 lengths. I pull back this rabbit strip to expose the hide, the rabbit hide, and I just clip it off there. And there is the full length of my strip of rabbit. So I'm gonna again measure it, because that's where I'm going to tie it down. I measure 1 full length and then transfer it to the back. I'm going to wet this rabbit strip so that it exposes and holds back the bunny hair while I tie it in. And anchor it pretty good, guys. Okay, nice. Now I'm going to dam up some thread in the front, and I'm going to start to build the body. So the body is made from my black Hare fur blend. And what I'm going to do is dub this all the way up. And this is the hardest part about tying this fly. And I wouldn't say hard, it's just time consuming. I'm just going to dub several layers or all the way up to the cone. I'm going to have a slight taper to it. And the reason why I dub it is I'm going to use, I'm going to draw up all the fibers out of this once I get the body built, and after it's ribbed with the crystal flash, and I'm going to draw out all the fur blend in between each rib, and it's going to just add a whole new dimension to breathability, if you want to call it, or oscillating body, because this thing comes to life. And that's, you know, half the battle. You want it as lively as leech as possible. I don't know if you've ever seen a leech swim, man. They're all over the place. And any chance that I get to bring a fly to life to mimic the natural, I'm doing it. Okay, I'm going to wrap this all the way up to the cone head, and be careful with the cone with your thread. Sometimes there could be a rough edge on the cone, and it'll cut your thread. So I'm going to continue to build this body, and it's, like I said, it's time consuming, but just hang in there. And I'm going to come back. Form your noodle. It's a good dubbing exercise, actually, if you're new to dubbing. Just take your time. And again, I tie this in obviously black, dark olive, and dark brown. 3 great colors. Okay. Now we're almost there. Just gonna put on a little bit here in the. Let me just check on your side. Looks good. Just gonna kind of race it up to the front here. There we go. So now we're gonna take this crystal flash and wrap this equally spaced wraps up the body that I just dubbed carefully. Tie that off. Clip off your excess. Make sure it's anchored pretty good. Then you're going to take your rabbit strip, make sure it's perfectly centered over the top of the body or the shank of the hook, and anchor that. And tuck that in the cone head there, and make sure it's anchored good. Okay, it's looking great. So, I guess you're wondering about this copper wire. What we're going to do is carefully expose that tie down point and place your first wrap right there. And then carefully separate the bunny strip and gradually go up the shank of the hook while holding tension on the copper wire and separating the hair on the bunny strip, moving forward. Equally spaced if possible. Try your best. I know it gets pretty messy in here with all this hair, but just go up the shank. It's important that you keep the bunny strip on top of the shank of the hook. Almost done with that. Looking good, very good. And I'm going to finish it off by wrapping 2 wraps of this copper wire and tie that off. And just helicopter it, or you can cut it using the back of your scissors. There we go. That was tough. Now, let's take a look at what we got here. So, we have our rabbit strip that we wrapped our copper wire through, and it's looking really good. Let me look at it from your perspective. Yeah, looks good. So, what I'm going to do next is form a collar all the way in front of this bunny leech, and it'll look really cool. So what I do is I prepare the collar. I'm going to first make a loop. I'm going to use a dubbing loop. I hope you guys are familiar with the dubbing loop. All I'm doing is taking my thread, forming a loop, and locking that loop in place. So there, it's a suspended loop. But I have this tool here, my threader, my bobbin threader, which has a little hook on it, and I just kind of put that in place there, let it hang down. And it's a little tricky to do this method, but yeah, it works. The end result is unbelievable. So I have a piece of rabbit strip here that has some really nice guard hairs. I'm going to take a good amount of it, about a ½ inch worth or so, just enough to collar it. And I'm going to cut that off the strip, and I'm left with this bunch here, as you could see. I'm going to take my dubbing needle, or my dubbing loop, and again, it's a loop, and there's 2 threads. I'm just going to peel the loop open and place this fur inside the loop, like so. And it's a balancing act, as you could see. I'm going to space it out. I'm going to lose some, so I'm really not concerned about that. And then I'm going to start spinning this very quickly. If I get 1 or 2 wraps around it, I'm happy. There you go. And I'm going to carefully draw out any loose fibers. So right now it's attached to my bobbin threader, but I'm going to transfer it over to my hackle pliers, like so. Okay. I'm going to clip off the top end that I was being held by my bobbin threader, and I'm going to carefully make a wrap around the hook, drawing back the fibers with each wrap. And then I'm going to lock it in with my thread and then release with my hackle pliers. It looks a mess right now, but the end result is going to be really awesome. Again, watch your cone head. It could have a sharp edge on it, and cut your thread with ease. So once I get that locked in, very good. I'm going to take my dubbing needle, or my bodkin, and kind of tease out the fur around the entire circumference of this hook. Just like so. Nice. Now I'm going to tie the knot. Excellent. Just play around here a little bit to check it out. So, getting back to the body. I told you I'm going to draw out the fibers that are in between the segmentation here to bring it to life. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now. You want to draw out these fibers, or the fur blend. And when this is in the water, it's going to breathe like nobody's business. It's just an added effect that brings the fly to life. And I believe it makes a difference. Just got to work on it a little bit. You can take it out of the vise and just carefully draw out those fibers. Okay. I'm going to press it a little bit here to help it out even more. There we go. Guys, that's it. With the exception of a drop of glue to secure the knot, this fly is done. So there you have it. The Conehead Black Bunny Leech. Effective pattern, guys. Trust me on this one. This is a deadly pattern. I just want to thank you for joining me on this episode of the Fly of the Week. And if you like the content I'm pushing, please subscribe. Tight lines, guys.